What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be going over some underrated loot spots in Fortnite Chapter 5. As always, if you guys do find this video helpful, informative, interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you like to see more, and comment down below where your favorite place to land has been so far in Chapter 5. In the past, when I've made videos like this, people have complained that I would just have gameplay up and then kind of show the location on the map, because I thought that was like a more interesting kind of viewing experience. And, you know, once you know where the location on the map is, it's not that big of a deal. But in this video, I am going to be going into a custom and then kind of showing myself landing at the location and talking about what I like about it, so you guys can kind of visualize the spot. And this is going to be in a custom. I had the workbench video, which I also made in a custom, and a lot of people were confused on how they can get customs. You have to have a creator code to be able to host customs. That's just the way it is. But if you do have a creator code, you just go down here and then type in whatever code you want, hit accept. And then when you hit play, you will be given the option to start a match. If you don't have a creator code, you can put in a custom, but it's up to somebody who has a creator code to start the match, basically. But I hope you guys found this, helpful. Let me know what spot you enjoy, and let me know if you prefer this style of video for landing locations, or in the past where I would just kind of show it on the map and then have general gameplay on, which is just like I said, a more entertaining viewing experience. So the first location we're going to talk about is going to be this house near Snooty Steps. This has about 18 chest spawns, and if you do land in this tower here, you can get a lot of slurp barrels and basically get full HP very shortly after touching the ground. And not only do you get HP very fast, but you don't have to worry about using any of the shield items that you find. And that is going to be if you land in the tower over here, and then just like kind of break your way down. I think Cypher PK has shown this spot, so a lot of you probably are aware of this one. But I do like this spot because the medallions are very important this season, and not only the medallions, but getting to the mythic POI, that way you can customize your weapons at the workbench, is super important this season. So you can loot this relatively quick, and then kind of go about your day in third-party Snooty Steps. And with how the bosses are this season and how many guards there are, it takes a while to eliminate them. So you're not at that much like of a downside looting all this and then third-partying Snooty Steps. It's probably going to make your life much easier. People can't just like rush the boss down as fast as they could in previous seasons. So you could loot all this, or you and your squad could loot all this, or at least loot to the point where you're happy. If you do have to fight off spawn, there's also a slurp truck here that you could kind of get on your way out. A cooler here. Coolers are very good this season because there is only floppers and shieldfish as far as what can currently come out of them. So your odds of getting shieldfish is really high, and it's like one of the better healing items in the game. And you can kind of launch pad over here, or you could just walk here if you don't want to go down to that spot. It really just depends on like kind of where you are when you finish looting the building, But you can launch pad or walk to here, and then you have a zip line, which brings you to Snooty Steps. And then from here, you can check and see what's going on. One of the nice things about the bosses this season is if you're trying to third party these locations, you can see whether the boss is still alive or not because the medallion is there. If you see the medallion go down, then you know that somebody has eliminated the boss and taken it. So even while you're looting here, you can have a pretty decent idea of like what you're getting yourself into. When somebody does eliminate the boss, you won't see the medallion anymore once they pick it up, and you'll just see like the gold circle around where they're close to. But yeah, I think this spot is really good. Not only is it like solid amount of loot off spawn and shield off spawn, but it has a nice route to like get into the action and get you to the workbench. Because even if you are late enough to get here that someone's already eliminated the boss and left, you could still probably make use of their workbench if they open the vault, and that's nice to do. Even if you don't want to like be concerned about getting the mythics or the medallion, I think you still probably want to be worried about customizing your weapon. So this is the first spot. I think it's really good. The next spot we're going to talk about is going to be these houses on the bottom right of the map. These are a little more secluded and don't have the best route to like a mythic POI or anything, but this one has 24 chest spawns. This one has 16 chest spawns. Both of them have a decent amount of barrels, and you can loot these spots like relatively quickly, especially if you're playing team game modes and you know that you're not contested here. You could probably split like 2 and 2, and then loot this stuff really, really fast. And there's even zip lines to let you travel between the two, and launch pads on this mountain and this mountain and that mountain. So there's a lot of natural launch pads in the area. So while this place does kind of play out, it could play out really slow with it being on the edge of the map. I know a lot of people have had a hard time dealing with Storm this season. It shouldn't be as bad as you think it would be, because there is launch pads in the area that kind of allow you that quick easy access or easy exit out of the area. So personally, I think if I was looting this, I would want to land at this spot. I feel like there's more loot density here and more slurp barrels here, which is really nice. You can just break that in one and get all those barrels, and then probably you would want to break the floor to break the stuff as fast as possible and get the slurp barrels. Take these berries. This is a very open building. It's very easy to loot this quickly. It's like a barracks area. And then when you're done looting this, you could take the dirt bike up to the launch pad, or there's a zip line here, like a path of zip lines that will allow you to travel to the other spot that we were talking about, the other set of buildings. But I just wanted to show you guys where the launch pad was. There also is a decent amount of loot on this launch pad, so if you are getting contested here, landing on this part might be a decent play, because then you could grab this loot, maybe look for a kill out of the sky, or just, you know, pad away. So here's the pad. And that's kind of why I was saying there's like a 2-2 split wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, because there is launch pads to easily relocate. Like, let's say you were going to 2-2 split, landing here in squads, and then you see another team is landing there, you could just kind of land on this top part here. Again, there's lots of barrels, and then just pad over towards here, and there's another pad right here, and this is on the other side of this mountain is where the other buildings are that had 16 potential chest spawns. So I'll show you guys those real quick. The chest spawn rate isn't the greatest this season, so you know, while it is 24 and 16 chest spawns respectively for these two spots, it's not going to always be there, unfortunately. That is one of the downsides of Fortnite OG. This NPC that's here doesn't really sell anything noteworthy. Big pots are nice, but I'm not too concerned about having the shield or that snowman. I'm gonna quickly get in here, and this spot has even more loot. There's stuff that can spawn in these bathrooms, I think, as well. This side doesn't have as much barrels as the other one, though, unfortunately. So that is this spot. You could take the zipline over there, and then there's another launch pad on that tower or that mountain. Or you could just take the one from this mountain. And I believe if you use one of these berries and then go into the launch pad, you go super high. And that would be pretty helpful if you did want to get somewhere else, because the biggest downside with this spot, not only is it edge, but also it takes like a decent amount of time to loot, and you have a hard time getting to a mythic POI. You're probably not going to be able to get the medallion. But like I talked about before, you kind of want to go there anyways to be able to customize your weapon. So Gland Glacier or the Railways is probably going to be your best bet to get to a medallion POI. Or you could just like pad to this, and hopefully the radio tower is actually here. This is a radio tower spawn. A lot of times the players from Glacier and Railway will end up coming to this tower after they get it. So if you are able to loot in time and contest this tower, you might get the medallions, and then also be able to customize your weapons at the workbench there, or the workbench at Glacier, whichever one you really feel like going to. The next location is going to be the loot cave on this right side of the map. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about this location. It's kind of drawn a lot of attention. It is an interesting spot, but I really don't think it's that great of a drop spot, which is why I wanted to talk about it in this video, because I know making a video on underrated drop spots, a lot of people are going to mention the loot cave. And it is, you know, one of the spots in the world, but I think it just takes too long to be looted, and there are launch pads to get out of here, but it's just kind of a struggle. If porta potties worked properly and you could just porta potty out, I think that would be great. I'm not sure why the porta potties haven't been working this season. It kind of seems like that's the way it's supposed to work, because once we get down there, there is one down there, but you can break those barrels for full shield right away. You see there's a porta potty here. And then you just kind of slide down and you go into this cave. And this, like I said before, this is an interesting location. I feel like that's just what causes so many people to talk about it, but I do think it is kind of overhyped, which is the takeaway I kind of want you to have from this spot. It's just that it is overhyped. So there's chests here. Get through. You gotta break the chest to get through this part, and then there's another spot where you have to break a rock. And again, this spot is cool, but in practicality, you guys know how bad the storm is this season. The struggle is real. So I personally don't see myself ever landing here. But you break that rock, and then you come to here, And this is where I was saying it would be nice if the porta potties worked, because if you could go through here and then pop out on the top side where that other porta potty was, which I assume is how they're supposed to work. That's typically how spots like this work with the double porta potty. One goes, it's usually only one way. Like you could only use this one to get out. You couldn't use the other one to get in. But it would make looting this kind of nice because you could loot all this and then go through the porta potty, get back up top, and then take one of the launch pads from the mountaintops there. But without that, it's kind of a struggle to get out of here. Or not to get out of here, but to loot this and then also, you know, go about your day. Because you see, not only did it take a while to get through, it takes a while to get out since you have to backtrack through everything. Crouch walking, and you guys know how slow crouching is this season. But now I have to go all the way back up this mountain, or all the way around. And that is just a struggle. So if they do patch those porta potties and make it work properly, I think that'd be a decent spot. I still think it would be like somewhat overrated. This is not a location where I would want to fight people at all. Like, just would be very awkward, I think. So that's one thing. But I just feel like there's other places with more loot that can be looted faster, and then you can get into the action a bit faster. If you are able to loot this like somewhat effectively quick for whatever reason, you could probably go towards like Gland Glacier. There's an NPC here. I would almost rather just land right here. I would almost rather just get those barrels, come right here, and then try to take the pad to Grand Glacier. I obviously wouldn't be wasting my shockwaves in an actual match, but I'm just trying to do this a little bit faster. Assume there's a launch pad up here. Okay, yeah, I was gonna say I didn't even check, but I just assumed there would be because the mountains in this season have a lot of them. But yeah, so like you could pad to here after getting that and then get your workbench there, or maybe eliminate the boss, get the medallion if somehow no one has done it, or maybe even railway to get that workbench. With a lot of these spots, I feel like you're giving up the ability to get the medallion unless people just don't go for it, but you should still be able to access the workbench because people will open the vault. So I would go to one of those locations after looting that and try to customize my weapons there. But overall, I'm not too fond of that location. I don't think very highly of it. I just figured making this style of video, if I didn't talk about the loot cave, all the comments were going to be like, what about the loot cave? I think it's kind of overhyped just because of the novelty of it. I really don't think it's that great of a landing spot. The next location we're going to talk about is going to be these beach houses on the far left side of the map. They actually remind me of the beach houses that used to be outside Holly Hedges in Chapter 2. So that was nice to see. This spot is probably not going to be the greatest for team game modes, but if you were playing something like squads, duos, and wanted a more low-key drop, you can maybe land like somebody here, somebody there. Like you would land a bit like split and just loot this entire area. But if I was playing this in solos, I would want to land here. So these beach houses have about 8 chest spawns. There's several coolers here, and there also is a launch pad, which is going to be really nice to just get you off of the edge of the map. You could take the car if you want instead, but yeah, like I said, this isn't the most loot, so it'd be a bit of a struggle in team game modes, but I think in solos this can be good. And even in duos, if you kind of split drop properly, that'd be nice. But these coolers are going to be huge because there's, like I said earlier, there's only 2 potential items that can come out of coolers at the moment, and that's floppers and shieldfish. So you get a decent amount of shieldfish typically if you open coolers. You can also dig up these chests. I doubt this NPC is anything of value. You can talk to him and get the big, but I think they currently have hired NPCs disabled. I'm not sure if this is a hired NPC once they end up fixing that. And there's lots of barrels here, so you're guaranteed full health, I think, or full shield. Yeah, without using any of your shield items, which is great for a spot like this because I feel like a lot of people hear 8 chest spawns and they're like, that's rough, I don't really want to land there, that's terrible. But like when you get full shield guaranteed, any of the other shield you find you could just carry, and there's coolers there, so you should get shield. Could loot through this area, or you could just try to pad towards Snooty Steps and then third party that location if you want to try to get the medallion. And I do think you could loot this incredibly fast and get into Snooty Steps. But another spot I wanted to show that's nearby is going to be the yacht, and I think this spot, I haven't really seen anybody talking about it. I haven't landed here myself. I didn't realize how much loot it had until I was like making this video, honestly. But this has 23 chest spawns and 2 launch pads guaranteed. So yeah, as far as like POIs go, this is nice. The downside is going to be that there's not any like, it's going to be rough to get a workbench. There are some AI that spawn here, but it's really not that big of a deal. And if you guys played in Chapter 2 Season 2, you're probably familiar with this location. I'm not sure if it's identical to the yacht from Chapter 2 Season 2. I would assume it is supposed to be. But, yeah, I think this could be looted incredibly fast by a squad, especially. But even in solos or duos, 23 chests is not bad at all. And then you kind of could glide, take the zip over there, or glide over here. I would assume there's cars here you could take. But again, the downside of this is probably going to be that getting a workbench is going to be rough from this location. Your choices are like Lavish, Fencing, Reckless, or Snooty. Like, none of them are really close. You're probably not going to be able to get there and also get the medallion. But you still would want to probably check out one of those spots to be able to outfit your guns with the attachments you want. So these are a little more rough in terms of, you know, what you're going to get afterwards. But I do think the yacht could be good. And I do think these beach houses into Snooty could be like a really good play. The next location we're going to talk about is going to be this little mini vault outside of Lavish. So there are NPCs here that you will have to eliminate, but it'll only be 3 guards. They die really quick. It's basically like how with the radio towers, like it's very easy to eliminate those guards this season. And there is a little mini vault here along with like a house that has a guaranteed legendary chest. And so that's nice. This is not a great landing location, but it's great to land here and then third-party Lavish, I think. So there's only one set way you can play this, I think, and it's going to be that. You land here, you loot up fast, and then you third-party Lavish. And one of the nice things about doing that is that the vault on the backside of Lavish is very inconvenient to get out of. So if you catch the person in the vault, it's going to be very easy for you to just like grief them, especially if you have nades. So I like to land at this house. It sounds rough, but when I was playing Squad 0 build ranked with Prospering and a few other streamers, we were landing here and it worked out quite well. So this chest in here is a guaranteed legendary chest. If it spawns, I think it cannot spawn sometimes, but if it spawns, it's got like guaranteed legendary chest. It might be guaranteed 100%. I'm not like, it's hard to say this season, you know. But you grab that, you loot up this house. There is also a vending machine here for heals, which is very nice. But this is where the guards are going to be. I don't know where the other ones were. I thought there was supposed to be 3. But that's the main one you want to eliminate. And then you can open this vault and then you get even more chests. And there is a potential chance for a workbench to spawn in these mini vaults. It's not guaranteed like the medallion vaults are. But I've seen it happen one time where there was a workbench in those mini vaults. And there's a vending machine here that you can buy heals from. It's always a heals vending machine as of now. That might change over time. And then you would just want to third-party Lavish. And Lavish is a good location to third-party because I feel like it plays out very chaotic. With how fast you can kind of loot that side area, especially in something like duos, you would get here in a decent amount of time. And this area plays out very chaotic, and it's a nice one to third party because the mythic drum is very good. And like I said, it's always scuffed every time I land here, and you guys probably agree with that. Like, it's hard for someone to just rush the boss in this location. And then even when they do, I'm not going to eliminate the boss and open the vault, but I just want to show how inconvenient it is to get out of this vault. Like, it's rough. And so if you do catch the person in the vault, like, they have to come out of this hallway to like fight you. And it's very easy for you just to hold right shoulder peek on them and like catch them coming out if they don't know you're here, or like flush them out with nades. It's just a rough fight. But that is going to be it for this video. There's lots of other spots like on the map I didn't talk about. Like, this map is pretty developed in terms of just having like buildings and houses everywhere that you can loot. Mind your business. But yeah, this map is pretty developed in terms of like having little houses and stuff that you can loot and get like extra loot somewhere. So, you know, it's not like these are the only locations you can land, but I do think a lot of these spots are pretty solid, like low-key landing spots if you've been having a hard time off spawn. And I did try to prioritize locations that have a decent pathway for you to get to a vault. Even if you aren't able to get there in time to get the medallion, you should still be able to make use of the workbench, which is very helpful in Chapter 5. As always, if you guys found this helpful, informative, interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe, like, see more, and comment down below where your favorite place to land has been so far in Chapter 5.